Folks, I had a goal, okay? I wanted to do a Pokemon challenge stream, but there was one problem, and that is what challenge? What challenge do I do? I wasn't ready for Nuzlocke, and after that, I wasn't exactly sure. And then it hit me. Why don't I just play the game like a literal child? Just a little smart. I mean, why not use only one starter like our gods Tajiri and Miyamoto intended? With this idea, I got to work. Firstly, what are the rules? Obviously, I was only allowed to use my starter in battle, you know. HM slaves were allowed, and I decided that no items were allowed in battle. Otherwise, honestly, I'd just be able to heal over and over, and there'd be no challenge. Secondly, I needed a game. There's a lot of Pokemon games to choose from, quite the catalog, and I landed on Fire Red. It was pretty obvious to me. Thirdly, which starter? This needed to be strategized. Charizard would be absolutely dog water. Sure, he'd give me fly, but I'm not doing any backtracking, and has just too many weaknesses. Venusaur would be good for every gym except one, but I could just feel the pain of the first Elite Four member stomping in my head with ice type moves. All that was left was Blastoise. Not only did his moveset allow for the all-out bashing of the Elite Four's skulls, but he'd have Surf and the ability to easily manage two gyms he was weak to. I decided that Blastoise was the obvious choice and named him Uno. You know, since he's the only one. With that out of the way, it was time to work. And the first challenge was my initial rival battle against my greatest enemy, Cheater. I named him this because, well, like a degenerate, he uses more than one Pokemon. I mean, can you imagine? More than one Pokemon? The complete mouthful. This man had me hanging on by what I would call a literal thread. But it's not a bad start. Though this was only the second worst trouble Cheater would give me, the absolute worst would be in a non-mandatory rival battle that I stubbornly pursued. Although, I mean, it's experience, and I mean, experience isn't bad, I needed it, so hey, why not throw myself at it? I died time after time until I defeated his two level 9 Pokemon, which, in my opinion, for a fight that you can attempt at level 6, is just a bit too much. After that, I breezed my way through Viridian Forest and took care of Brock just as easily. From here on out, I didn't face any troubles for a long time. Misty, who I thought would at least give me a teensy bit of trouble, absolutely folded to the two new moves that I got from the martial artists outside of town. And no one else was my competition, especially not Cheater. After helping some nerd out of his suit, I started looking ahead. There was something very promising in my future, in my opinion. In a bit, I would kick a criminal's tail. Very easily, I'd say. And he'd give me something very useful that I would carry with me for a long time, and honestly longer than I should have. Didn't realize I could replace it. Some mistakes. But he gave me Dig. And I mean, Uno was able to learn that. Meaning that Uno had something strong against the very next gym. After that, I cleared out the cruise ship I had been abruptly invited to, tended to a withering old man, and was now able to take on the gym. Remember how I said Dig would be crucial to this gym? Well, I mean, I wiped out every single Pokemon in this gym with this move. Honestly, the only thing that actually challenged me at all was the puzzle, which works in a really annoying way that I don't know the algorithm to. The next thing was the rock tunnel, which was pretty easy. It didn't take long at all, trust me. The next challenge was Erica, the grass team leader. After her, I really didn't have too much to worry about besides the Elite Four, which would be a pretty nice relief. But I mean, it is Erica. She's the grass type leader, and not only that, she can poison me and paralyze me. And paralyze me she did, almost killing me. She was my first actual difficulty in this entire challenge. Though, after she paralyzed me, I did immediately hit a mega kick without a problem. So, crisis averted? After Erica, I took a small break from what I was supposed to be doing in Celadon and went back to Lavender to fight Cheater. I quickly stomped in his team, It's almost like I'm a bit over leveled with one Pokemon. After I absolutely kicked Cheater's team's teeth in, I went back to Celadon to do a bit of pest control. I blasted my way through the entirety of Team Rocket up to their boss, Giovanni. You see, Giovanni got absolutely stomped to the ground because with 2 rock and ground types, he wasn't exactly standing the best chance, and his Kangaskhan ended up getting weighed down by her child. The next challenge in my hands was the Saffron City Fighting Dojo, where I quickly learned that I was a little too underleveled for my tastes, so I decided to go hit the bike trail and grind a bit and then go challenge Koga. This fight, in my opinion, was the 3rd most difficult fight in the game for me. Koga is a poison type trainer, and what do poison types do? They poison you, and poison is absolutely broken in this generation. Not to mention the fact that 75% of his team had Levitate, making Dig almost useless to all of his Pokemon. But there was something else that made it absolutely impossible for me to defeat this gym on the first try. You see, I forgot one of my rules and ended up using not 1, but 3 items in this battle and realized and threw. So I went for a second attempt. The second try went much smoother and I cleared out Koga's full team. I went back to Saffron, ready for the challenges up ahead. Once I got there, I started clearing the local Yakuza out of the Silphco headquarters, and in the middle of my heroics, got interrupted by Cheater. You see, Cheater decided to basically team up with Team Rocket and got in the way. In my opinion, this whole situation ended up dragging his already god-awful reputation even further through the mud, so good for him. Super soon after dominating Cheater's team, I ran into Giovanni again and mopped the floor with his team for the 2nd time. Defeating Giovanni brought me to my next task, which was the gym leader Sabrina. Though I can't really say she was much of a task, as I absolutely cleared her team. Now with my 3rd to last badge, I decided to head to Cinnabar, and on my way there, I ended up running into the Seafoam Islands. In the Seafoam Islands, I ran into a really sick looking bird, and without knowing anything else to do, I put it out of its misery. That was really the only thing I could do. Moving past some mansion that I had to be stuck in for a good while, I was finally able to take on Blaine. And this is my easiest fight in a while. Every single one of his Pokemon took 1 hit, and I was absolutely thriving, ready to take on the last gym. Only having 1 more gym between me and the Elite Four, I was super excited. So I headed immediately back to Viridian and went to take on Giovanni. Though this time taking on Giovanni, absolutely nothing changed, and I mopped the floor with him for the 3rd time and headed on my way to Victory Road. Though, just before I took on the Victory Road, I ran into Cheater again for the last time before the Elite Four, and it was honestly a close fight, but I'd come too far to lose to a man like him, so once again, absolutely washed him. Every fight on the Victory Road was absolutely crucial. I needed as much experience as possible to be the highest level possible for the Elite Four, and I was cruising by, feeling unstoppable, until I met a man named George. Aided by an initial paralysis, George slowly chipped me down as each and every one of his Pokemon fainted, up until his last one. When his Arcanine came onto the field, everything that could go wrong went wrong, and I was forced to start over on the victory road. I decided to prep with max repels before going in on a second attempt, and went with an even better pace. I breezed my way through victory road, rematched George successfully, and that meant it was finally time to take on the final and most difficult challenge of the entire run, the Elite Four. At 9 hours and 7 minutes, I started my first attempt. The run was going smooth. I was taking a relatively minimal amount of damage, and I was playing well. But then everything went downhill once Lorelei's Lapras froze me. Before I started on my second attempt, I took the rare candies that I'd collected throughout my adventures that I forgot to take on the first run, and replaced Skull Bash with Focus Punch. I began my second attempt, OHKOing Lorelei's first two Pokemon with a new move, making it one of the absolute best decisions in the entire run. From there, I cleared her team, taking a sweet yet narrow revenge on our Lapras. Bruno was the easiest Elite Four member, only one of his Pokemon taking more than one hit. Before taking on Agatha, I decided to replace the now useless Focus Punch with an Ice Beam I had purchased hours prior in Celadon. I made quick work of Agatha, clearing her team with a few well-placed bites and earthquakes, eager to move on to the final Elite Four member, Lance, the entire reason that I bought Ice Beam. I started Lance's battle with the utmost confidence, and in all honesty, it was very earned. One by one, I left Lance's Pokemon frozen and ready to put 6 feet under. He posed absolutely no chance. After his defeat, I healed for the very last time, ready for my final battle with Cheater, who is now the champion of Kanto. He started with Pidgeot as always. I Ice Beamed him. It was no-go. Then he threw out his Venusaur, my biggest worry, but he choked and used Growth, certifying an eventual faint on his end. His Alakazam threw me off when I hit a low roll bite, but after he used a full restore, I got a technical OHKO with another bite. Gyarados took the longest to fight, but just like the rest, it eventually fell to Uno's power. All Cheater had left was an Arcanine, meaning it was one Surf between the end of the challenge, and then I had become the champion with only my starter.